Hello, everyone. We've got Sue Palmer-Conn here, the co-founder of the Divorce Coaching Academy, which is coming our way really soon. Sue and I go way back. She's also an author for the Coach Guardian and has many other accolades in her career, which we're gonna jump straight into because your background really blows my mind, Sue. So let's get straight into it. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here and talking to us today about divorce coaching. I think it's an awesome niche and really needed. So it's fantastic that we get to deep dive into the meaning of that today. So let's get into the first question, which is, can you tell us about your career and how you got into coaching? And what led you to divorce coaching specifically?
Okay. I'll start right back from the beginning. I went off to university and everybody expected me to go and do sports, but no, I was always going to do science. So I taught, my first degree was in geochemistry, which is the chemistry of rocks, basically. And I went out into teaching. I worked in a secondary school teaching physics, chemistry, geology, and maths. And then I had 7 years out when I had my children, went back into teaching, but this time I went into a completely different school. The first one was a huge all boys comprehensive school, and the one I went into was a little tiny one form entry all girls private school because the term times fitted in with the boys. So I needed something to stretch me, and coincidental with going back into working, I was diagnosed with MS. And as well as working out physical faculty, the neurologist said you might lose mental faculty as well. So I thought, right, that's not me. So I worked out a physical program and did lots of sports, combated it, and I enrolled in the Open University to do a psychology degree.
So when is this? What year are we talking about?
1986 when I started my psychology degree. Mm-hmm. And because I was doing it part-time with distance learning, I eventually finished it in 1992. And I was then bitten by the bug and went on and did a PhD. And I was married to a very, very successful dentist, and he had always wanted to be called doctor. And the fact that we were getting letters addressed to Dr. and Mr. really annoyed him. And so he needed his ego boosting. So he found a little girlfriend. And eventually in 2001, we got divorced. So that was the start of my divorce coaching career. But prior to that, in 1998, I got my first full-time job since before I'd had the boys. And I got rapid promotion. In fact, I went from 1998 to 2003, so 5 years, I went from junior lecturer to senior manager. And no management experience at all. I just won a huge award for my teaching. So I used the money from that to pay for an MBA to give me some sort of theoretical management. And because I didn't really want to be a manager, I wanted to be a leader, not a manager, I decided I would do a coaching qualification. So I went to the coaching academy and did personal and professional coaching diploma, and used that throughout the rest of my academic career. So I used it with staff, I used it with students, I even used it with other stakeholders, people we were working with, although they didn't realize I was coaching them, I was. And then over the time, I got remarried, changed careers several times and was planning my retirement, which I'd kept postponing and postponing. And eventually I thought, well, yes, I want to do coaching, but general life coaching is too broad. So I did a master's certificate. I did a certificate and then a master's certificate in health and wellness. And that still felt a bit broad. And I did an online quiz. It was a find your niche quiz. And I answered the questions different ways at different times because I didn't believe it first time. And it kept saying, you ought to be a divorce coach.
Huh.
So I thought, okay, what's a divorce coach? I've only got my own experience to go by, which wasn't traumatic. So I think I better have a look around. And I found one in the UK, but that called itself a divorce coaching course. But really it was how to find a boyfriend once you've been divorced. And then I looked around and I found the certified divorce coaching program over in the States, which was a great course and gave me all the information I needed. However, when I got back and started to practice in the UK, I had to unlearn all the legal aspects and relearn them for the UK because the two systems are totally different. So that's when the seed started growing for me to not waste 40 years in academia and not waste all the coaching qualifications, but combine them together to help, divorce coaching. I don't know what it's like in Australia, but there's so few of us that hardly anybody has heard of divorce coaching. But whenever you talk to anybody about it, oh my gosh, I wish I'd had a divorce coach. And so, the seed grew and I decided that I would train the next generation of divorce coaches, but give them a broad education so that they were gaining coaching experience and the basic knowledge that they needed for divorce coaching.
That leads really nicely into the next question is, if you could talk a little bit about the differences and the similarities between being a normal coach or a life coach and being a divorce coach specifically.
Yeah, you use exactly the same skills. So you're asking powerful questions, you're walking down the path with them, but this time, because it's a very deep emotional need that they have, we're not allowed to give legal advice or financial advice, but we need to have enough knowledge to be able to share what I call legal wisdom. So most people, when they're heading for divorce, automatically think, I've got to get a lawyer. But that isn't always the best pathway for everybody, because the vast majority of lawyers, although hopefully it's changing, but the vast majority of lawyers go down the litigation route. And therefore you're setting one partner against the other because it's a win-lose situation. And divorce shouldn't be like that, especially if you've got children. As Gwyneth Paltrow would say, you should consciously uncouple.
Yes. I've read that in one of your articles. That's such a beautiful phrase. Yeah.
So rather than tear the relationship apart, you ease it apart gently, because you've shared anything up to 20, 30 or even more years together as a couple. To tear that relationship apart leaves so many jagged edges Whereas if you ease it apart, the edges are less raw. And if you've got,
go ahead.
say if you've got children involved, you want the children to be able to love and be loved by both parents. And if the parents are going at each other hammer and tongs all the time, the children are going to suffer.
So I guess we're talking about the differences and the similarities between a divorce coach versus a more general trained coach. So you mentioned that there's powerful, the same sort of coaching skills, which I guess is the listening, questioning, rapport building, those kind of skills. And then there's this legal wisdom. And maybe, I guess what I'm picking up on is like a different philosophy, underlying philosophy of helping them ease apart rather than tear apart. So I guess approaching the separation with grace, with love, compassion. So there's an underlying, is there anything else that really strikes you as fundamentally different between a life coach and a divorce coach, but also in that space, comparing going down the litigation path versus a coaching path? I didn't realize there was that separation. So you can speak to any of that.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's lots of different ways that you can do it. You can have a mediation route where it's very like any sort of disagreement in business, for instance, where you have a mediator to negotiate a compromise between you. And it's the same with divorce. You can go down the mediation route and you can make compromises. It's very much it's a needs versus wants. You know, what do you need to be able to live the life that you want, rather than what do you want, you know? And you might want to, if you've been hurt badly, you might want to hurt them. Well, that's not going to help in the long run, especially if you've got children. You've got a lifelong relationship as a co-parent. Then the next one is a collaborative divorce, where you each have your own lawyer and you go in together and you negotiate an agreement. Because there's different parts to a divorce. There's the legal divorce, where you know you legally undoing the commitment that was made when you got married. So you sign papers when you get married, you sign papers when you get divorced, and that's the legal part of it. The other part is the financial part, and that's where a lot of the hurt and the aggression sets in. If you've got children, there's making sure that the children are looked after properly and that they get access to both parents. And then the final bit, and this is where the divorce coach comes in, is that there's the emotional journey, because it's a huge roller coaster. On the stress scale, it's second only to the death of a close family member. But when you take into account the increased arguments, the loss of sleep, the separation, the moving out of the house, maybe even getting back together for trying to make up and then deciding finally you're going to split. When you add all those bits together, and each part of it carries a number on the stress scale. When you add all those bits together, it adds up to 453 compared to 100 for death. So you can see that you're dealing with very, very fragile people. And depending where they are on their emotional journey will depend on the needs, because somebody might come to you when they're at the stage of, should I make up or break up? And a good divorce coach will work with them to help them make an informed decision rather than a knee-jerk emotional decision. The next stage that they might approach you is where they've decided that they're going to divorce, but they've no idea how to do it or what's the best way to do it. And this is where the coach becomes an educator. So you're giving them the information to help them again make an informed decision. And then you would walk down the path with them, because it is a very tortuous and winding path.
Mm.
They may come to you in the middle of divorce, or they may be referred by their lawyer or mediator because their emotions are getting in the way. And what a divorce coach will do is to help them to concentrate on the business of divorce with the lawyer rather than the divorce story.
Mm.
You know, they can tell the coach their story as many times as they want to, because our time is not charged by the minute. We're a lot more flexible. Whereas if, you know, they go into the lawyer's office and they start crying, they're still getting charged, and it becomes a very, very expensive box of tissues.
Yeah. Do you get a lot of referrals from lawyers and mitigation experts?
Yeah.
I can imagine. Okay, so let's talk about the benefits of getting a divorce coaching certification. So if you're thinking that this is an attractive niche, or maybe you're already a certified coach, what are some of the benefits you get out of actually getting that piece of paper to be an officially accredited divorce coach?
There's lots of people that call themselves divorce coaches, but in the vast majority of cases, they're people who have just attracted people going through divorce. Maybe they've gone through a divorce themselves, and they start off with friends and then friends of friends and so on. And they tend to work with people going through divorce. Well, everybody's divorce is different. And the best way that you can help somebody going through divorce is to be able to have that body of specialist knowledge that you can help them to understand exactly what's going on, to be able to understand and manage their emotions and knowing what's going to come next. So it's, you know, we're not offering therapy, we're not offering legal and financial advice, but what we're there is to hold their hand and give them the confidence, knowing that they can unburden themselves, because very often, even nowadays, even though divorce is so common, people still feel that there's a stigma attached to divorce. You know, they don't talk to their family and friends because in the majority of cases, they're going to be bad mouthing the ex-partner, and that's not what they want to hear. You know, they want practical help.
Mm-hmm.
They want somebody that can show them what their future can look like, and the future can look as rosy as you want it to. The biggest thing that people lose in divorce is their identity. They've got to go from being we to me. And if you've had a codependent relationship, that can be extremely difficult. And giving somebody the confidence to find themselves and to make this new life for themselves without breaking down. So I always say that, you know, a divorce coach will take you from breakup to breakthrough without breakdown.
So, you've got some really great quotes here. Break up to break through.
Without breakdown.
Without breakdown. I love it. I'm just thinking, you know, I'm thinking back when I did my coach certification, you know, got the generic, like the life coaching diploma, we had some executive coaching, had some team building kind of built up in there. But what you've been explaining, it sounds, especially if you're UK focused, is not only, I guess, that the wisdom to understand the steps and the processes of the certain country you're in, to be able to walk people through, but it seems like there are specific phases, even though everybody's divorce is different, there are specific phases, and then also specific topics that coaches need to be skilled in dealing with, like some of the emotional things, some of the losing your identity, going from me to we. Have I understood that correctly? Are those the kind of things you focus on in a divorce training program?
Yeah. And there's also things like conflict resolution.
Yeah, I mean, like I learned that, you know, we had maybe an hour on it or a worksheet on it because it's a part of the process here, but we didn't go into real detail. But I could imagine for a divorce coach, that sort of skill set maybe bubbles up to the surface and you spend more time on it. Okay.
You know, as I say, the basic skills of coaching, you know, like the listening, the questioning, the empathy, the building rapport, etc., are the same, but it's just in a very different and specialized area.
With like a repeatable process. I mean, you talked about there's kind of that questioning, do we separate, and then they make the decision, and then I guess there's the legal and the financial side, and then there's the reinvention. So there's this these real phases that people will go through, I suppose.
Yeah. I mean, once people are divorced, then the divorce recovery phase, you can bring in all your, you know, health and wellness stuff. And I have a 6-month program called Fresh Start, and I literally take them through the 12 elements of health and wellness. But each one is intended to build their confidence, give them new skills, make them think differently. So, you know, we might look at career, for instance, because, you know, a lot of women especially have been stay-at-home mums, and all of a sudden they've got to reinvent themselves and get an income. So, you know, we look at career and how to build a CV and what's the art of the possible, not the impossible. You know, sort of, I've helped people to build their own businesses, or to get promotion at work, because, you know, they're going to need to replace a salary.
Okay, let's move on. Let's see, what makes a successful divorce coach? And here I'm really looking for characteristics, skills, experience. Does a divorce coach have to personally have gone through a divorce themselves? What in your mind makes you great at being a divorce coach, for people who are listening and they're thinking about maybe having this as a niche?
A lot of divorce coaches have been through divorce themselves. Not all of them, but a lot of them have. Or they've worked in the divorce field. So you get people who might have been family lawyers or mediators or financial advisors who have seen the benefits to clients of having coaching, who think, I've had enough of the rat race of having to satisfy the senior partners and bring in mega bucks for them, and not taking it home myself. I want to try something new. So being a divorce coach, one of the big things is not allowing your own divorce story to influence the way that you coach.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the difference between empathy and sympathy.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to be able to distance yourself from your own experience, because sometimes, you know, if someone comes in with their divorce story and it triggers something in you, you've stopped thinking about the client and you're already thinking back to your own experience, which is something that you shouldn't do. You know, and that's part and parcel of being an emotionally intelligent coach.
Yeah. And that goes for all types of coaching, I suppose, but
Absolutely.
specifically in this. Okay. Any other characteristics or skills that you would say would be really important to be successful in this niche?
I think you've got to be very much a sponge and be able to absorb a lot of information and hold it there just in case.
Mm-hmm. What kind of information?
Well, as I say, you need to be able to understand the legal aspects and the financial aspects to be able to ask the right questions to help the client to think through. You know, when you're doing life coaching, it's not a matter, when you're doing it, it's not going to have a major effect if something goes wrong. It's easily remedied. But with divorce coaching, if you give, I mean, we shouldn't be giving advice anyway, we should be helping people to find their own answers. But sometimes, you know, if you see somebody floundering, you can give them pointers to the right
it's like you need to be a walking Rolodex or something, so that
yes.
you can filter them off to the right resource.
That's right. And you need to be able to refer on. So you need to have a lot of referral partners. So, you know, you need to be able to assess now, would this lawyer be the right person for this client?
Yeah.
So my address book is full now of lawyers, financial advisors, mediators, parenting coaches, and people like that. So
yeah, that's fantastic. So if somebody is a great networker and they love meeting people, and I suppose that's going to really aid them in being a divorce coach specifically.
Yeah.
So that's great. I mean, a lot of people might be like, "Oh, that sounds terrible. I don't want to do that." And others might be like, "Oh my gosh, I'm, really gifted in referral and building referral partners."
Yeah.
That's a nice distinction.
It's having the right contacts and getting into the right networks. In the UK, there's an organisation called Resolution, which is an organisation for family lawyers who want to take people through a more amicable divorce. They're not the hard-hitting, litigious people that are going after the megabucks. And a lot of divorce coaches are now becoming associate members of Resolution, so that they can make the contacts, do the networking.
Yeah. Okay. Is there anything else that stands out to you to be a great divorce? You may or may not need to have gone through a divorce, but you're probably related to the industry, was the first one. But most importantly, not to let your divorce story influence you. You need to be a sponge so that you can absorb lots of knowledge, and it's helpful to have a great referral network.
Yeah, definitely.
I think those are three really clear characteristics that make a great divorce.
Yeah, the networking will build up over time.
Yeah.
you know, when you first go out, you're like a rabbit in the headlights. You're thinking, oh, I hope they don't ask me for a referral.
What?
But there's
Oh,
so
go
much
ahead.
information out there.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, you know, a lot of, I've done a lot of surveying over the years of of coaches, especially startup coaches. And one of the biggest things people struggle with, especially when they're starting out, is getting their first clients. It seems like if you're a divorce coach, there could be a really easy strategy in going out and meeting some of these referral partners and giving them your card and saying, you know, I can help your clients as a really smooth, you know, maybe people who aren't so crazy about social media and marketing. Is that just me kind of reading into this, or do you see some truth in that?
No, it's a great truth, that, because rather than saying, you know, here's my card, give it to your clients, it's making a connection with the lawyer and saying, how can I best help you to help your clients?
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, most of the lawyers will say, you know, our time is not being used efficiently when we are mopping up the tears or listening to the same story over and over again. We want to get down to, you know, the business side of it.
Yeah.
And so if you can take that pressure up, it then allows them to be more efficient and more effective.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It sounds like some lawyers could actually benefit from getting a coaching, divorce coaching certification. You can combine it.
Yeah. Well, funnily enough, half of our first class in September are lawyers and mediators.
They're catching on. Yay, go coaching. Oh, that's wonderful to hear. I love it when the coaching, I guess, skill set kind of gets integrated into everyday things, because that's kind of my end goal, is that everybody knows the basic coaching skills, because it's just life changing and it
Yeah,
helps you be
absolutely.
such a better communicator. Okay, just a couple more questions for you. How can someone become a certified divorce coach?
Well, if they're in the US, then the Certified Divorce Coaching Inc. is the best place to go to.
Mm-hmm.
If they're in the UK, hopefully they will come and join the Divorce Coaching Academy.
And how can they do that?
We've got our beta course to make sure that everything goes, you know, we're putting everything in that clients need in starting in September, and then we're launching officially in February once we've got accreditation.
Mm-hmm.
Because to get accreditation, you have to have run one course, one full class.
Mm-hmm.
And in doing that, we're working with, as I say, people who are already experienced coaches in different fields and lawyers and mediators to help us to refine the curriculum to make it exactly tailored to what people need.
That's so
So
exciting.
the,
Yeah, go ahead.
the theory side will talk all about, you know, what information you need to help them through a divorce. And then the practical side will give them all the coaching skills that they need, but tailored to divorce coaching, because we're going to be giving them case studies
Mm-hmm.
adapted from our own experiences.
Mm-hmm.
And that will be drip fed out over the 3 months.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And just for people who are listening, I just want to confirm, because this is going to be online for who knows how long. September 2021 is the beta group, and then you guys start in February 2022.
Yeah, for the first full course, yes.
For the accredited course. It's so exciting. All right. I have a couple of bonus questions for you. Are you ready? These are kind of the get to know Sue, where we just go it's a little bit more personal, but we start with one. I mean, you've been in the coaching industry for a long time. I know you're pretty active networker as well. what is your number one advice for coaches today? And if you want to split it into for people just starting and people who've been doing it for a long time, that's fine, or you can group it all into one thing.
I think if they want to get more exposure, you know, sort of, they need to be seen to educate before selling.
Mm.
So to establish yourself as an expert in the area, give before you try to take.
Yeah, great. And what is your personal definition of success?
My definition of success is to be in love with what you're doing.
Appropriate from a passion mapper. And what are you grateful for, Sue?
Oh, lots and lots and lots and lots. I keep a gratitude diary, and I think the most regular thing that comes into my gratitude diary is thank you to Nick, who's my ex-husband, for releasing me to find my true self, and for giving me the space for Bill to come back into my life.
Wow. Okay. Wonderful. Great. I mean, I guess it's the perfect thing to be grateful for a divorce coach too. That's amazing. Okay. If you were going to give 3 truths to your nearest and dearest, what would they be?
3 truths for them.
Mm-hmm.
Be authentic. Yeah, be authentic. Be grateful. Develop an attitude of gratitude.
Mm-hmm.
And laugh and love as much as you can.
Oh, beautiful. Aren't those fun? That's it. Those are the bonus questions. I just love how everyone I interviewed answers them just a little bit different. Just out of curiosity, what kind of gratitude diary do you use? Is it a specific one, or is it just a journal that you write in every day?
I can't remember what's her name, the lady that makes those gratitude diaries.
Is it Melanie? Melanie
Yeah,
Spears?
yeah.
Oh, you
Yeah.
use hers. Oh, so do I.
I do. Yeah, yeah.
And when is your gratitude practice? Is it in the evening, in the morning? Is it straight?
I usually do it in the evening, because then I can think back and think about what's happened in the day and what's gone well.
Yeah, yeah.
And what I need to be more mindful about.
Yeah, I do mine in the evening too, and I use Melanie Spears' gratitude diary. It's just beautiful. All right. Well, Sue, thank you so much for the interview today and sharing this unique niche of divorce coaching with the Coach Guardian audience.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, well, happy coaching, everyone. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you on the next one.
Bye.